Both of these races are very strong. Like, this CoNDUIT is extremely stacked. Skill level of conduits recently has been pretty high, so it's very intimidating. Even I'm a bit intimidated, but I'm banned from conduit, so I don't need to worry about it. Looks like we have a base spear immediately. Both races will pick that up. Jacob taking a half a heart hit early on. But shouldn't matter too much. Early hits are probably some of the most important, because you aren't sure if you're able to get some heal-in. Or, I mean, late hits as well, obviously. Tier 3 cracked wall, though. And it's never the food shop, of course. Like, Szprycha will bomb that as well. Still not the food shop, sadly. Actually, not really sadly. If one of them was the food shop and the other one wasn't, that would be even sadder. But Szprycha, the first one on to Death Metal 1. So the weapon situation isn't that good for both racers, just sticking with this base spear. And one of the worst bosses to have low damage on is Death Metal. One of the few bosses whose health does not scale with the floor in Jacob's stream. Okay. Good. Had a miniature heart attack there when the stream froze, because Jacob was mentioning earlier about internet issues possibly coming into play here. Meanwhile, in the black chest, there will be a glass sphere. It's still a sphere, but it will be nice damage up, as long as that stays alive. And both races will spend a bomb to claim that potion. Jacob, having the shop conveniently opened by the red dragon, will just take a peek on what's inside. And will actually swap off the glass sphere, which I respect that. Gold ring synergy with golden rapier, though you probably aren't gonna take that for the synergy, because you're looking to replace either the weapon or the ring. But in the meantime, when you do have the synergy, it's pretty nice. Szprycha, meanwhile, on Shard. Stream's frozen, not like this. Please. Oh no! This is a long time. Let me refresh that. Do hope it's not on my end. It might be, actually. My bitrate's a bit high. I keep forgetting to turn it down for commentary. Whoops. But meanwhile, wake up with obsidian armor. What happened to Szprycha's stream? Let me just double check. That's not good. Yeah, that's definitely offline. I'll flag down staff. Well then. Oh, there, SG2. In the meantime, looks like Jacob has managed to pick up a Ring of Regen. Not sure what's gonna happen here. Probably gonna have a pause coming in. Which is kinda sadly ironic how Jacob was the one worried about the stream dying. It turns out his opponent is the one with the dead stream. Feels bad, man. I can't do anything about it. Oh, there it is. Never mind, it's back. Cool. Do. So that might be an issue for the reviews. Thinking emoji. Alright, let's catch... oh no. Okay, it's fine. Let's catch up on what was missed. Looks like switching off from glass shard to glass... Oh, that is so bad! Klappa's on the top. And goblins surround it. Just hope someone... Yeah! Thanks, monster. What have you done? Though the death did happen, like, the exact moment before you sent that message, so it can't be your fault, unless you just thinking about it caused that to happen. Anywho, Squega suit for Jacob has a lot of charms. What is that? Gluttony, Luck, Nazar charm, Compass, and a potion. Backing up, given these Klappas some reasonable space, is still on a pretty subpar weapon, but it could be much worse. You have the 2 damage lunges, the synergy no longer is present. As I said, you usually take that synergy temporarily since you're looking for a better weapon or a better ring. But if you do have both, it's pretty nice. You just probably won't expect it to keep it that long, the gold weapon, gold ring synergy. So yeah, this core riff fight is taking some time to hit the tentacles down. On the run back, meanwhile, Szprycha has found a titanium sphere. That's actually a pretty solid weapon. Obsidian broadsword for Jacob. That's not the worst pickup going into Zone 4. It is snaggy, and you don't really want snaggy in Zone 4, but this is pretty much mostly a base rapier. So you're gonna be doing a lot of 1 damage hits, and doing snaggy 2 damage hits more often. It's probably gonna be better. Meanwhile, here is the food shop. Actually, the food shop. Nice fat gluttony there for 3 whole heart containers. There is a heart container in that crate too. It's not too much time to crack that open, but I know that Jacob does not screen watch. So just continue to play their own game. Still suck on this golden rapier. Did get a fireball instead of the obsidian broadsword, which already has had quite a bit of value with that food shop kill. Bombs are pretty scarce right now. On the run back, meanwhile, Szprycha did 3 damage, titanium sphere. It's also piercing, so this is pretty good build. Just pick up this Squega suit that is somewhere in Zone 3. But this is a bit of a traffic jam, Jacob. This is one of the worst crowds of enemies for Zone 4 I've seen in a while, but that's an excellent fireball to just thin out the swarm there. It's also a one-sided swarm, so it's more like a wave of enemies. rather than a swarm. Meanwhile, in the shop, it's just gonna be a titanium max. Jacob's gonna grab that. That is definitely a weapon. Definitely a good one. One of the best ones, even. A bit of a puzzler situation there. But there will be one tier, one wall to the exit room. These bounce traps are spooky, but very well handled from Jacob. Picking up a bomb as well. It's now at the 3-bomb threshold. And what happened to Screech's stream? Please don't tell me. Nope, it's still up. It's just frozen on my end. Let me regenerate that. There we go. Please capture, please. Please capture. Alright, cool. Suddenly zone 4. Alright. The Szprycha on the run back. About a whole zone behind. That is a pretty solid run back there. Jacob is definitely leaning on the safe side, which I don't hate at all. In fact, if you know me, then I like that stuff. Which just seems to not have picked up the armor. The Squega suit probably would have been pretty nice. Somewhere in zone 3, I didn't quite catch it. But it is trucking along just fine. This deficit might be a bit much, though. This late into the game. That's a throw. Meanwhile, the 5-3 shop is pretty nice. But Jacob very likely just wants to keep the bombs. Can't afford to spend any right now, given that they don't know where their opponent is, and is just set on finishing the seed. It's like some easy left side scoots, no flawless, doesn't really need it. And moving on to the Necrodancer fight. 3 bombs, so it's just enough to skip up puzzles. So that's a good fireball. I didn't know you could do that. Just wiping out all 3 turnips with 1 fireball. That's... how have I not seen that before? It seems so nice. Some pretty good lures coming out. Oh, Dorian taking 2 hits there. Dead ringer, Dorian. But that won't be it. An excellent run back from Szprycha, but it's not gonna quite be enough. But GG's. Jacob taking the first seed of the set with a 13:11 in game time, 13:26 race home time. So, hopefully, the internet issues are solved for both racers. That this is actually fine, so that we can just focus on neat racing instead of being angry at internet service providers for being bad, because they are bad, sadly. but that's not the point. Fingers crossed. Good luck, have fun, once again. Jacob is definitely clearing out enemies a bit more. It's not gonna take too many beads if the enemies are nearby, and it could save you quite a lot of headache. Risha's just pushing forward. It's gonna be fine. It got a little claustrophobic with those white skeletons closing in though. But both strategies had mostly the same result. Not much time out of killing those enemies. In fact, Jacob won't kill the Blood Shopkeeper. We'll just buy the Quartz Armor and the Blood Axe, which is a great weapon if you can find damage ups. It's really, really good if you can find damage ups. So, looking for that. Szprycha does have the Blood Drum since they decided to kill. So that definitely does help. It is pseudo damage up. Damage up when you most need it, ideally. And also, given that it's a blood weapon, it goes well pretty nicely. Just kill enough enemies and you'll have another free blood drum hit. Jacob pushing forward on to Core Rift 1. Szprycha bombing the Shriner, looking like gonna take the boss shrine for the damage up. Has 2 bombs left. And this is a pretty good haul out of this Shriner. A bit of extra farming out of Zone 1 for Szprycha. Seems to pay off pretty largely, but art transplanting into a Minotaur, that's where Quartz Armor does its job, at least. So, could have been way worse. Blood Magic's down to just half a heart. Manages to save the Flawless, but it's down to half a heart. It is a blood weapon though, so can start regenerating some health. Wants to be at least 1.5 hearts of health with Quartz Armor so that you know that you're not gonna be one hit from death ever. Hello, Chiken. So yeah, definitely a very valuable and efficient building out of Zone 1 for Szprycha. Jacob has a much more minimal build, but it's still very workable. Still does not have a source of damage up. And no Ring of Peace either. Without any other ring at all, actually. And Szprycha swapping off to Obsidian Armor, which is a fine choice. Is this Pokemon? No. Kappa. But Jacob does have Earth Spell, or Szprycha's pretty good spells, but none of them are Earth, at least. Checking purple for some tomes. We'll just keep the chicken. So, given Jacob does not have the shield spell or the damage up on this Blood Axe, is keeping pretty good pace. Szprycha's trailing very close behind though, with a better build. We'll be able to leverage that to their advantage. Looks like Shop Bro in the shop. And a very neat path to the exit out of the shop as well. Szprycha's taking a lot more hits, but utilizing the blood magic to regenerate it. Jacob going to check a black chest, but will be very, very disappointed. Don't really know what you'd want in there. Given it's a 3-1 chest, that probably wasn't the take. Well, this is a pretty scary situation for Jacob. Szprycha, meanwhile, has overtaken. Yeah, this 1 damage is really starting to have it. That is a lot of riders on Szprycha's end. But they all seem to be stuck, thankfully. There's more riders, though. Never mind. Kappa. So this is a pretty nasty 3-3. Given Jacob is on 1 damage, I am pretty scared. Ring of Piercing definitely does help, though. So that's kind of a pseudo damage up, but you're still really gonna be on 1 damage. Jacob does find a trapdoor, we'll just rush down there. So won't have to deal with the rest of the nasty on 3-3. Szprycha, meanwhile, continuing to push forward. Good use of shield spell. Really, this build is so much better. Just out of zone 1, a bit of extra farming. Decisions like going for the throw, which is RNG, instead of just buying the things, which is the more stable option, but more importantly, doing the Shriner. So yeah, pretty fast pace right now. 7 minutes on 4-3 for Szprycha. Jacob 2 floors behind. So pretty quick for both ends. Szprycha having the build advantage and just going faster because of it. Meanwhile, Jacob pretty much on 1 damage for the entire seed so far, which has been super, super bad. So Szprycha spending a bit to line up that blood drum. Missing it the first time, but Zone 5 is where you get some pretty fat heals if you have any kill to regenerate items, and Szprycha has 2 of them, so the health should be coming back very quickly. Clearing the floor, healing 3 entire hearts without going out of the way to kill extra enemies or anything, just on the way to the exit, having 3 hearts regen thanks to the Crown of Thorns and the Blood Axe. You need to kill the Green Dragon? That's fine. That was pretty nice. Using Bomb Spell there, instead of spending an extra beat to hit the Green Dragon. That's a very, very clean play with efficiency in mind. On to Dead Ringer. It is a left side. And we have a Blood Drum kill. Jacob, meanwhile, has fallen a whole zone behind. Kind of surprised that Jacob has managed to keep such a pace, being on 1 damage horribleness. But yeah, 2 hits left on a Necrodancer for Szprycha. 1 hit left. That was an excellent showcase of like using your health to go faster. if you have regen, then you can use your health to go faster here and there. So that's gonna be a sub 10 with the 949 race room. Speedy, to say the least. Sub 10 is just... wow, that's fast. For a lot of people, at least. Is that Madeline sitting in a chair? Kappa. But yeah, that was pretty much just Jacob not finding any damage up to the Blood Axe, and also no other suitable weapons. And at the same time, Szprycha finds a Shriner on 1-1 with a boss shrine. And the boss shrine's pretty good in of itself. Give out a shield spell. And of course the main dish, usually with the boss shrine, is the strength charm. Of course it gave that as well. But anywho, for our third and final seed, there's an immediate trapdoor. Jacob is not going to take it. Szprycha will take it. There does not seem to be much. Around now would probably be the time where you just go back. You just go back and jump down the trapdoor, or just reset and jump down the trapdoor, really. Yeah. Remember, when you're racing, it's fine to reset. You'll end up back where you started, so... people who are, like, more used with speedrunning and whatever else you do in Necrodancer that isn't racing, sometimes forget that you could just teleport back to your spawn location on 1-1 just by hitting the reset button instead of having to backtrack or having to just continue on a bad 1-1. Overall, though, you won't save too many beats, and it won't be that relevant in many situations. Jacob, though, has found a pretty good torch. Szprycha moving on to zone 2, still low percent. Never mind, find 3 bombs, but that is still a very minimal build. Szprycha on half a heart, still very minimal build. Pretty spooky, never mind build. Can't afford the golden axe. Can bomb for it though, but probably not worth it, as it still is a 1 damage axe. Ooh, fair and balanced coming in, won't be an issue. Looks like Jacob will activate the sacrifice here for a Glax. Won't bomb for the full heart container. I very much think that, like, this early on, you definitely bomb for it. There isn't too much reason for you not to, because you'll probably find bombs in the rest of the run if that's what you're worried about. Meanwhile, an urn open for Szprycha, finding some pretty solid items here. Not the best, but it's not a meme. No gun, sorry. Feels bad, man. No memes. We got, like, the opposite of a meme, which is a very, very trustworthy weapon in Old Faithful here. Titanium longsword. Flawless dropped for Szprycha. I think worried about keeping the spiked ears alive. Did Ribbon just hop into the voice channel? Appa. I was like, wait, who's in the voice channel? I don't have a co-commentator. Oh! Okay. That's not a good hit. Szprycha is very much running down to the wire. Yeah, just eat the ham. That was pretty fair and balanced. Fair and balanced do be like that. Also, part of it is, like, still trying to keep the spike deers alive. It's fine if the spike deers drop here. 2 damage is definitely not ideal. But it's fine. Szprycha killing for heavy plate. Jacob, meanwhile, keeping this Glax very alive and well. Swapping off to Titanium Cat. Not anymore. Titanium Cat is an excellent weapon. Szprycha will actually pass up on that. I think because it's harder to keep the cat alive. I mean, the spike deer's alive with cat than with longsword, and Szprycha is putting some pretty heavy weight on these spiked ears. Spiked ears, yes. But Jacob is just about a floor behind after a much slower Zone 1. That is a pretty beefy amount of protection with the helmet and the heavy plate. Just take the trapdoor, Jacob. Yeah, just take the trapdoor. Oh, jeez. It's fine, but... the trapdoor room would have been much less painful, and you don't really need multiplier for anything. And that's a pink shovel transmog for Szprycha. Doesn't have the mapping like Jacob does, but it's still the pink shovel. Picked up piercing as well somewhere along the way. Shrine of Darkness very likely just wants to keep piercing, obviously. So we'll just opt to pass on that. Though it's not the worst option if you decide to take it, because you do get the map that you can utilize your pink shovel with. In Zone 5, Ghost Shopkeeper coming in, but it won't be anything bad. Jacob is also gonna pass on the Shrine of Darkness, likely just wants to keep the Torch of Walls, but I think you take it. Like, yeah, unless you aren't comfortable with darkness, which is fine, but you should be comfortable with darkness to an extent. So Jacob backing up quite a bit for Ghost Shopkeeper. There goes the spiked ears for Szprycha. Managing to keep that alive for quite a bit. Still a very solid build. Has the 2 damage piercing, which is very much respectable. And Szprycha is on to King Kong 4. This is actually costing a bit of time. Jacob's spending a bit of time on forward 2 as well. But 7:22 into Zone 5 is, these races are fast. Like, Szprycha's just going the fast, doing the fast in the fast races of speed. Jacob is also going fast, it's just that it's slower. Even though it is fast, it's just slower than your opponent. Like, legitimately, the skill level in this CoNDUIT is pretty high, and CoNDUITs recently as well have been pretty up there. Definitely not all conduits are created equal. That's obviously true if you've been around for a while. Oh, cat priority there for Jacob. Falling about his own behind though, it's a bit too much of a deficit. They said Jacob doesn't really screen watch, which is a pretty big disadvantage. This dead ringer is off the rails! Yeah. Bomb count doesn't matter anymore. Well then. I was looking to be a Japanese strat that went wrong somehow. Oh, yeah, Dead Ringer's not supposed to be there in a Japanese strat. That's not where Dead Ringer's supposed to be, so I think not doing the first part correctly and then just following through even though it was destined to fail. So it's looking very nice for Jacob all of a sudden. It's Dead Ringer. Dead Ringer happens. So yeah, Szprycha on the run back. It's going to be a bit much unless Jacob goes down too. But there's a ham in the back pocket, there's heavy plate, and also a helmet as well. So not just tanky, but tanky and a half. This is looking like lures. Interesting, given that Jacob doesn't screen watch. Probably wouldn't want to default to lures, but maybe it doesn't know Oblivion. Because Oblivion's cool. Anywho, lures are definitely the right choice if you know where your opponent is. Bombing yourself. That's not the right choice if you know where your opponent is, but Jacob does not know where his opponent is. Oh, Szprycha bombing themselves. They're on infinite damage flail, just hit the urn. It's fine. Yeah, bomb yourself to get infinite damage to crack open the urn instead of bombing the urn. Accidentally big brain. Anywho though, that is the last hit for Jacob. GG's. Jacob taking this 2-1 mostly because Szprycha is deaths, 2 deaths. Because Szprycha is definitely a racer that leans on the riskier side, which means you gotta go fast, but obviously consequences can be dire. So yeah, I mean, it's CoNDUIT. The tried and true strategy of just being able to finish off runs semi-consistently at a pretty decent pace. Doesn't need to be fast. Just shine through this set. Yeah, that Dead Ringer probably should have gone better if the start was... I didn't quite catch the start and why it went wrong, but I have to assume that's what happened. I was like, why was Dad there? Dad is not supposed to be there if you're doing Japanese. Anywho, GG's.